welcome everybody to our monthly meeting, April 6th. We're going to open our session at 7:01. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, great. Again, it's great to have everybody here. And before we begin, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Doyle. We have a special occasion to swear in an officer, and so we want to do that right now and do some recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. It is a special evening. We have a new officer that I'm going to formally introduce to the council, and we'll swear him in, and then another introduction to make, someone you're all familiar with. But Zach, if you'd come up and join me. So Zach comes to us from the Sheriff's Department. He has just nearly 10 years in law enforcement, very broad experience level, known to be very proactive, and we're very happy to have him here. We think he's going to be an excellent addition to the staff, and we're excited for his future and what he brings to our capabilities here as a department. So we're going to go ahead and swear him in for the council. So Zach, if you'd raise your right hand for me and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Zachary Smith,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Oregon,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Oregon,
and the laws and ordinances of the City of Coquille, Coos County,
and the laws and ordinance of the City of Coquille, Coos County,
and faithfully discharge the duties of police officer for the City of Coquille,
and faithfully discharge the duties of police officer for the City of Coquille,
to which I have been appointed,
to which I have been appointed,
according to law and to the best of my ability.
according to law and to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. So Zach is a little bit of a legacy with our agency. I think his dad is in attendance. Pat served as a canine handler, sergeant, lieutenant, and acting chief. Did I miss any of them? Everything. So we want to be sure and welcome them as well. The next person I want to recognize is Sergeant Jessica Pierce. Come on up. So I think most everyone is familiar with now Sergeant Pierce. It's been some time coming in recognizing her formally. Jessica's been with our agency a little over 10 years, brings a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge to this position, and is going to be growing in that position, and ultimately will be part of the succession planning for our agency. So I'm tickled to have her in that spot, as are I think the rest of our officers. And I know she's going to do very well. You'll probably be seeing more of her very soon on day shift, along with
away from the nighttime.
along with me. But Jessica performed very, very well in our promotional process, and I think our agency's in very, very good hands for the future. So, congratulations, Sergeant Pierce. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Well, thank you, Chief Doyle. And again, congratulations to everyone. And just to applaud all the efforts of our Coquille Police. Thank you for all your hard work. And it's great. Yeah, totally. It's great. All right. Well, we're going to kick off with council comments. The only one I have is just remind everybody Coquille River Days is coming up June 5th and 6th. Our Coquille Police has just put out for a car show as well. And so I think we had our largest one ever last year, and so looking for the same this year as well.
Yes.
Yes. And so again, June 5th and 6th, the website is chambercoquille.org, brand new website. It looks fantastic, easy to register, sponsor, and we already have numerous food trucks, retail vendors already registered, and some sponsors. So we definitely are still looking for sponsors to sponsor several areas, including fireworks. And so you can reach out to myself or just look at the page and contact the page. There's a lot of great information there as well. And so looking forward to the event. I guess I want to mention one thing. The Kids Corner is going to be sponsored this year, and it's going to be at least 4 or 5 large inflatables for the kids to play on. So we're excited about that for our kids, and looking forward to it. All right, we're going to move on to Councilor Waddington.
No comment tonight.
And Councilor Frazier.
I have nothing for this evening.
Councilor Corbis.
Nothing to add.
Councilor Westrom.
Congratulations, Jessica and Zach. Yep. Sergeant Pierce. Sorry.
All right. Councilor Cooper.
With that said of it.
And Councilor Flynn.
Nothing to add.
All right. Excellent. We're going to move right along to our consent calendar. Agenda item number 5.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion by Councilor Frazier to approve the consent calendar, seconded by Councilor Cooper. Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. There we go, unanimous. Liz, thank you, Councilor. Staff reports. Mr. Norberg, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Councilors. I don't really have anything to add to my report. Pretty much, it's all in the packet. So you will see what we were talking about as we go through the agenda.
And we're going to move right along to City Finances. You're in charge of that as well.
It's my afternoon job. Yeah, I don't really have anything major to point out. You know, the ambulance fund is a little bit in the negative at the moment, but I think based on potential council actions this evening, that will be rectified. It's not a whole lot in the negative, but a little bit. Other than that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
How goes the search for the Finance Director?
We're interviewing 2 people Thursday, and they're both very qualified. So we're pretty excited about that.
Good. Excellent. Any questions? No. All right. All right, thank you, Mr. Norberg. We're going to move right along. It looks like our Fire Chief, Chief Latimer.
To add to my report, but I'd be glad to answer any question you might have.
Yeah. Hats off to yourself and your staff, Chief. For sure. I'd like to, if you can just add a few Help Bay cities, or, you know, put that in your, yeah, I know we always have Myrtle Point in there, but it'd be just nice to see. Yeah. I'm glad you're trying to mend that fence. It's about to be.
All right, thank you, Chief. And again, I echo hats off to all of your staff. They're working hard and appreciate all their work. That's a lot. All right, we're going to go on to planning now. Mr. Norberg's here to answer any questions. If you have any planning.
Can I throw your name out here?
If you have any, thank you. If you have any questions from that report, let me know, and I will write them down and get with Haley. She is out of the office to attend a wedding, I believe, until probably next Wednesday, a week from this Wednesday.
Only comment was the letter from the Business Oregon highlighting that we didn't get the grant and that one of the reasons, or what we can do to improve our chance, is to become current with our fiscal audits. Is there anything that we can do to, I know we're 2 behind, right? And they take 6 to 9 months each.
Technically 3, but,
So,
yeah, so we're working on 2023. I just had a call with the auditor earlier, late last week, sorry. And I've got a good list to go off from them, and I think I could probably produce most of that stuff, and then hopefully we get a finance director on board. They can spend more time on that. We did talk to a firm that, could do 3 in 1 year, but they were like $70,000 for a single audit. That's a lot more than we're paying, which is, 40-ish. So, I don't know. We'll try something, and maybe the new finance director will have some more abilities to reach out to a few people.
is that, would you say, like, the 2 candidates, they have work experience, going through audits and things, like this is something they bring to the table?
Yeah, especially one of the candidates has been an auditor and prepared municipal audits, so I think that she's a great candidate. Second one maybe a little bit less, but still a good candidate.
At some point, does it justify the added expense if we're leaving money on the table as far as missing out on grants? Do we just pay the premium and get caught up so that way we are current for other projects?
Well, if you use a $70,000 model, that's $210,000, which to me is a pretty big premium. Is that possibly something we can do? Maybe. Once we get through the budget season, it's not an unhappy budget, but it's still pretty tight.
I know, $90,000 is a lot of money, but if we're missing out on,
So $210,000 total.
Yeah, 70 times 3, so $210,000. I think, though, even with our current auditors, if we have a finance director that can devote some time to that, which honestly the department is operating fairly well, I think that, that person can turn to and get that stuff done quicker.
and what I was referencing, is we're paying 40 now and it's 70 is the premium, so it's 30,000 a year, so it'd be a total of 90 more, right?
We're paying 40 now, this other company is 30.
The 70 is 30 more, right?
30 more per year.
We have
so-
40,000 a year budgeted.
Right,
Yeah.
so 30,000 for 3 years would,
But the problem
Three
is,
audits.
we only get through 1 a year or so.
no,
Well,
it's 3
it's-
per year, right?
Well, we only have budgeted,
We only have budgeted 1 per year, but we're still on, last year's funds. I do think, that's something that an experienced finance director can help us with and assess. There's some places that we probably can save a little bit of money to do that, and I think, there's probably more firms out there than the one that I, talked to.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping that, both of these people we're interviewing this week are in Oregon.
Yeah.
So,
The only thing I'm concerned about is, so we have these current ones, and these are kind of small potatoes, but if we're dealing with, like, our wastewater, our bigger capital projects that are coming down the pipes, we have aging infrastructure. At some point, I'm wondering if we just,
Well, we still missed out on 2 million from that because it's behind.
right.
yeah, I just don't want us to miss out on more.
Well, what's the likelihood
overnight.
we could actually do all 3 audits in 1 year anyways?
If you have a really good auditing firm that's designed to do that, which is the guys I talked to that are 70, they can, but they help you a lot, right? Our current auditors are more passive.
Is there any opportunity, since it's probably shared, are we able to share some of the expense out of URA for that?
URA has its own audit.
Okay,
That's part of the general audit, so URA pays for that part.
okay.
So, yeah, it's not impossible. And I can comfortably say, once we have a finance director on board, we can have those discussions with her or him.
And And that's the key. And that's the key, because right now, Forrest is doing it all. And so, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah. No,
even doing 3 audits in 1 year, you still gotta have the right staff person that can facilitate all of that work.
Right, you really need someone that is audit savvy, which, both these candidates, particularly one, I think would be like right up our alley as far as what we need for audits and those kind of things. Because the department itself is running fairly well. The employees are working hard, they're getting the job done. We're not having a lot of issues there. So I think that's a good place for someone to step in that has audit stuff and can knock some of this out. I mean, some of the things, you talk to the auditor, and they're like, well, you have a GASB 64, and I'm just like, so can you send me some reference material on that, And obviously, someone that's doing this for a living right now will know what all that stuff is. GASB is a challenging thing that I think is just created as a minefield for non-finance professionals, to be honest with you. A lot of stuff they ask you to audit, it's just like, you have to fill out this long federal form to say, this is the wages of the employees, and this is what we reported their wages were. Why? I don't know. But anyway, that's just I have a little issue with
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, just a reminder, counselors, and I'm glad, Mr. Norbert, that you've done some of this pre-work in preparing for this qualified individual that'll fill that space. Is removing HR from that was a big deal too.
Right.
So having Liz now champion that, and that move was great, because now we've got a finance director that's committed to the finance piece of our city, and I'm super hopeful.
They will have one job.
And so I'm super hopeful for that. And
Yeah.
Good question. Any other questions? All right.
Public Works, Mr. Denning.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Sorry, I've got a few updates since I wrote my report. It's been a busy week. First off, the Jefferson School housing development up there, we've talked with the site development contractor, Black Pearl, that Northridge is using, and actually met with them this morning. And they're going to be moving dirt around up there pretty heavily, probably by early next week.
Nice.
The only impacts really will be there, we're shutting off that pass-through that we've been allowing people to use up there from that development. But are real optimistic about them. This group's out of Roseburg, and they expect to be done with their work hopefully by the end of June. And then I think Northridge can get serious about putting up houses up in there. Second is that we'll be doing a burn down on some of the GP property down here, try and get control of some of those invasive weeds that have taken over where we haven't mowed on a regular basis. Kind of led by CFP in cooperation with CFD and other jurisdictions, I think doing a burn and learn down there. So that'll be going on the 25th. CFP tells us that no problem with containment down there this time of year. They're going to probably try and, you have to encourage it to keep it burning. But just wanted to make you aware of that, because that'll be a significant event on the 25th of this month. And then lastly, because I got my first glance at some of the budget proposals coming out, and my report talks about some of the grant funding we're taking advantage of in our infrastructure, and then what we hope to take advantage of, and then our needs, in both sewer and water. And some of the numbers are not really encouraging. As I said, this is just proposed, out of the executive branch, but for 2027, but proposing 204.5 million cuts for the Community Development Financial Institutions Fund. And then 2.5 billion out of clean drinking water. And I've seen cuts proposed before, for these programs. I've never seen anything of this magnitude. The one thing I'm hopeful about is that infrastructure tends to be fairly bipartisan. Typically it's used as a bargaining chip. But as I said, looking at these numbers, I gotta believe we're gonna lose some. So that just makes that more competitive. And I guess just making you guys aware of that. It may get harder and harder to get this money until the cycle turns over, and we get some I guess different vision in that role. I don't think there's a lot that we can do except, advocate with our state representatives, that represent us on the federal level. They're the ones that have the floor with regard to this. So, with that, happy to answer any questions you have.
I just wanted to highlight Corey Hahn?
Yes.
Root Hippo. Anyways, not everybody reads the packet, but I think that's so cool that you've got 3 individuals coming.
Actually, 4 now.
4 individuals.
Yeah. Yep. So I think that's it for her. She's got room for 4 of them, and we're getting all 4.
Great.
Yep.
Again, special thanks to Tina. I love reading these reports in here. So thank you, Tina, Mark, the whole team, Parks Committee. Again, great job.
Agreed.
All right, any other questions for Mark?
All right, Director Lucas, Coquille Library.
I have nothing to add, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Excellent work.
All right, great work. Please thank your staff for us, and they're doing a great job. And man, especially on these nice days driving through our city, oh wow, so beautiful there. Great job on the library. Yeah. All right, our Coquille Police Chief Doyle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to add to my report. I'll do my best to answer any questions that you or the council may have.
Doesn't look like any questions, but I want to thank your officers again. Obviously, where I live and just downtown a lot, I know that they're just going around. I mean, even when I see your stats and you're like 50% of the rest are within 24 hours, but I have to believe it's probably even more than that they could. But so thank you for at least putting the effort to meet with our sheriff.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank your officers for the hard work.
Absolutely, I will.
It's frustrating for us, too.
Yes.
All right, we're going to move on to our City Recorder HR Director, Liz. She keeps adding this report. She's going to have to be on microphone and add to it. But she did pose councilors 2 questions, one being at the top of the report under the green bar there, one being if you're not opposed to it, do you like the idea of tablets instead of paper to save time and money? So Liz, is the idea that the tablets would be located upstairs for them to pick up, or they can use their own tablets or pick them up at City Hall when their reports are on them?
So I'm not too sure. My thoughts were just to kind of get some basic ones where you guys could log in with your emails and have the council reports sent to their council packets. And
Okay. Okay.
It's easier for people to have them here before like before meetings, like we do with the binders we can do do that, or if you feel responsible enough to handle it, you can do that too. I just looked for some pretty basic ones on Amazon. I found some for like $40 that weren't too bad for what we're wanting to do. And it'll save us a lot in paper.
Sounds great to me. Counselors, I mean, we get them on email already for us to look at ahead of time. I have my own tablet I probably bring because it's like an old person tablet. I'm looking at Paul's. Mine's about the same size. But anyways, so maybe counselors, if you could follow up with Liz, or Liz, maybe follow up with us. How many need it? How many want a tablet from the city? How many have their own? And then we'll work with Liz and Mr. Norberg on that process. Does that sound good? On that process? Okay.
Is there a reason why it couldn't be displayed here with our current setup?
You wouldn't be able to control it on your own.
Yeah.
It's all same feed,
Yeah.
but, yeah, I think I would only need it just for the meeting. I'd just keep reading it on my phone.
Okay.
The other question that Liz is presenting to us is, how did the council feel about moving out the meeting time from 7 to 6? So I know due to work schedules, but is there any kind of general consensus from the councilors?
I would be able to do 6:30, but 6 would be very hard for me.
We have a executive session ahead of time that would potentially cause issues.
Put it at 5:30.
I don't get off until 5:30 if I'm lucky. Most of the time, I'm not out until 6.
Why don't we do this? Let's, off record, we'll generate a consensus with Mr. Norberg and Elizabeth. Does that work? I mean, it sounds like 6:30 is the best we could do.
Yeah, I'll make whatever work.
Fine, either way.
Paul?
I'm lazy, I prefer 7.
So, I mean, it's possible the 6:30 time might work. Where we run into issues is executive session if we need the full hour.
Could we book an executive session at the end?
Yeah, I can be anywhere in the meeting.
Okay.
I would suggest if we're going to do that we do that starting at the June meeting. Meetings, fun-filled, pre-budget event. And then we got the budget committee, which that is at 6.
Yeah.
And then maybe we could try that in the June meeting. Okay.
Yeah, maybe what we could do is try 6:30 June meeting. And then if we need an executive session, we could see if we can keep it in a half an hour, and then we can always do one later, or it depends on what the topics are for. Oftentimes, for folks who are here, executive session feeds the general session meeting, so it's not very practical to do the executive session at the end of the meeting.
It's true.
But so we're buying ourselves time. So if we're waiting until June, we can reflect on it longer and then get back to you guys. Yeah. Cool. All right. And before we move on from Liz's report, Employee of the Month, Forrest Norberg. Forrest has done an exceptional job at juggling 2 different titles the last few months on top of his normal city manager role. He has also been HR and finance director, overseeing the accounting team and creating the city budget for fiscal year 26-27. Forrest has always put his team and the city first. He goes above and beyond to make sure all questions get answered and problems get solved in a timely manner. Forrest is a natural leader and does everything in his power to make sure each department head has all their needs met. If something is falling short or not working, he comes up with a solution to better support his staff. Congratulations, Mr. Norberg.
You want a photo op for it? No.
Have a photo, Zach.
Forrest, just so you know, I put mine on my desk faced out for the month. So go ahead if you want to do that. Yeah. I took it down now, so I'm handing over the mantle.
That's great. Mark.
I feel like there needs to be an actual thing that's handed off here.
Might be fun. Yeah. I love it. A rocker, Rick. Wow.
All right, anything else, Liz, for us, or any other questions for Liz? All right, there we go. Thank you. Thank you, staff. Appreciate the reports. Thank you for getting those in. We're now moving on to public participation. Has anybody signed in today to speak?
No.
I can look at everybody. All right, we are now going to move on to agenda item number 8, the longest resolution title I think I've ever seen since I've been mayor. Consider Resolution 2026, a resolution removing ambulance service-related charges from the city's fee book and adopting updated service charges closer to the state averages, and rescinding portions of Resolution number 13202 and similar portions of past resolutions related to fees for ambulance service, accepting fire med fees. So, Mr. Norberg.
So, I mean, there's two topics here, I suppose. One is the fee book, which is feeble at this point, hasn't really been properly maintained. But to me, it's a mechanic of the 1980s or 70s or 60s or something. If you want to know what a fee is for a service, say you want to know what the planning fee is, here's the application. It's got the fee on there. You know, most everything that's a fee can be found there. Water application, it's right on there what it is. I know, like, I guess someone, it was handy to have a book, but now we have cell phones and, computers and websites and in any case, regardless of how the council feels about the entire fee book, I do not believe that the ambulance service charges, which is what they are a fee. A fee is like it's $15 to get your dog license, right? So anyway, this resolution would remove the ambulance service-related charges from the city's fee book and adopting updated service charges closer to the state averages, and rescinding portions of resolution number 13202, and similar portions of past resolutions related to fees for ambulance service accepting fire med fees. So that's what this is all about. Zach did a really good job, Chief Latimer did a really good job. We got 2 Zachs now. We had some really good meetings, and, honestly, our consultants that are going to do our billing is like, why are you not charging enough? Like, well, we were told this, and they're like, no, this is what Myrtle Point's charging, and they raised their rates. Same kind of thing happened with Myrtle Point when they got this vendor. So they're like, you can at least go there. And so they provided us examples. You see in your packet, there's a chart of all the state rates. I think to answer some questions about it, it's experiential, right? We have to see it's actually going to work like we think it will. It has for Myrtle Point. I really have no doubt that it will. But we really need to look at the revenues. When you get your budgets, you'll see there's a pretty big plug number for next year's ambulance revenues. Not quite enough to make the current fee go away, but pointing in the right direction, and that may be, I'm hoping that projection is understated. So we'd like to get this started, right? We'll have April, May, June in this fiscal year to see how much money it really is. I believe it'll be enough to offset the current deficit in ambulance. So that'll be great, but that didn't give us an idea of how they've been having so many calls. If we're having those many calls at a new rate, that's really going to help the bottom line, and the point is unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, this is a true enterprise, and we have not treated it that way historically for a variety of reasons, but we now have an opportunity to treat it like the business that it is. These rates that we're talking about are ones that Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurers will pay. Yeah, at different levels, but we know that they're eligible charges. So I don't think we're going to have any problems there. It also are streamlining our charge pattern, and I think with these new folks
it's going to be great. I mean, and we'll just have to see how great it is. You know,
And one thing I'd like to add, if you look at the new proposed service charge, the SCT, that's Specialty Care Transport, that's not something that we currently offer, but 80% of our transfers that we do to Riverbend, to Portland, even the Bay Area, they're specialty care because they're on a pump. They're receiving pain medication, nausea medication. Those all qualify for specialty care. And that's $2,300 that insurance will pay for that compared to, you know, we're leaving it on the table for an ALS1 and that's $1,000. So we're leaving $1,300 on the table at our current rate. But the specialty care, you know, looking through their guidelines, the difference between ALS2 and specialty care is not much. You know, it could be the difference between giving Zofran, which is an antiemetic, or another dose of pain medication, which we do all the time. You know, so this could really make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And if I'm understanding if I'm understanding everything, the rate that we're going to get closer to Murray Point, which is closer to the state average, that's what's billed to the insurance. So even in that case, some of the insurances are only going to pay a percentage.
So, how they kind of worded it was, if we bill out the state average, which would be for our average call, is $1,900. We're probably going to see somewhere between $1,600, or, you know, let's say $1,500 to $1,700 back in revenue back, because we're getting that much more. It's a percentage, yes, you are going to see a percentage, but it's still going to be a whole lot more than what we're seeing.
That's better than what we were operating. That's way better than what we were.
Yeah, so for that example, what was our fee prior?
So for just your average one, was $1,000, and we're upping it hopefully to $1,900.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And so that's where it's really helpful, is because even if it's a percentage, it's on the percentage of
The right
the overall.
fee.
Yeah.
Of the better fee.
No, I think this is excellent, and it's nice to see that we could be adding a new fee category that we previously missed. So if we remove it from the fee book, does that mean that it's something that we can actually update more frequently to keep
Yes.
current with current charges?
yes, Counselor, because one of the issues with the fee book is, so the council decides to adopt something, and then you've got a fee book, right? And if that page is too full, then you got to repaginate, 8 pages to do that. So someone's got to do all this work to get it in the fee book, and theoretically, you're going to make it's valid before the fee book. So I just think it's a redundant work product that, yes, we can do it as often as we want. So say we get to July 1st, or, whenever the first council meeting in July, it'll probably be, I don't remember where the 4th is this year, but anyway, so we get there and, or maybe it's the middle of July and we go, wow, okay, it's been doing this, and if we could get just this little bit more, that's really going to help with the ambulance fee deal. So that is something the council could consider, and we can do it. You could hold a special meeting to do that, and we'll know. I mean, we're going to have a few months, 2 3/4 months or whatever, of experience with it. So we'll be able to, look at that data and go, yeah, based on calls, we should be able to see what the projection for next year. We'll see if my budget projection for next year is correct. I think it's understated as it is. I'm pretty confident it's understated, but I don't like to overstate things. I'd rather be able to go, hey, it's going to be this much more. But, but we'll have an adopted budget. We can have those discussions whenever you want.
So in a perfect world, if these fees do pay off like they should, the $26 per month fee on the water bill could disappear prior to November of 2028 as we had originally. 2027.
Could it? It's possible. We just have to see what the yields are. There's still the opportunity to discuss, an ASA-wide levy, out there too. So all that's going to play into it. And, at least in my mind, we wait till, got the data up through July 1st, and then we'll have a really good picture of what it's really going to yield. And then we can go, oh, yeah, then we can start planning for changes like even in the ambulance fee. That could be, like, say, it could be reduced some, January 1st or something. Or, I mean, I don't think it would go away before the end of our 26, 27 fiscal year entirely, but it could get reduced, so. But we'll need data to figure that out.
And Chief, your folks know that this is contingent, that they make sure that their reports are done in a timely manner and they all understand the timeframes they're under?
Yeah, so my crew knows that they have 72 hours to have the report finished and completed. At that 73-hour mark, they're billing it out. So, we're going to have a talk about it tomorrow, granted this passes, and really hit that home that, hey, if you guys are in here, I expect everything to be done in a timely manner. You have 72 hours from the time that you initiate that call, but you only have, X amount of days to initiate a call.
Yeah, if we don't do reports, we don't get paid.
Right.
So we don't have a job. I mean,
It's the same thing with car wrecks, right? It doesn't matter for a car wreck for you to get paid. If you don't do that, you don't get paid, and there's no, we forgot. It's money left on the table. So we're really going to drive that home tomorrow. Granted, this passes.
Yeah, and my thing has been all along, and we've talked about this before, that even if we had to go to an ASA levy, I just, in good faith, we can't do it if we haven't crossed all our T's and dotted our I's.
Right.
So the two of you doing this work and getting us to this third party, making these discoveries, now it becomes, okay, it's integrous. I mean, even if the data comes in and we find out we might have to go for a small one, well, it's just, we've done our homework, and the community is going to be more respectful of that, and so even now it'd be like, I suppose the narrative could be, oh my gosh, well, we've been leaving thousands and thousands and thousands. That's water under the bridge now. I'm so thankful for this hard work that we can now move forward and do it the right way, so that we can keep, because honestly, the numbers we looked at, if you remember, the numbers we looked at before, even with the levy, it was going to barely cover the operation of the ambulance service. It wasn't even going to cover equipment. And so, I think that's the thing we're going to have to consider when we look at the data is those numbers we were looking at, we were just trying to keep it sharp and down to the bare minimum, but the reality is it didn't even look at equipment. And we're already needing new equipment. And so, thank you, Chief and Mr. Norberg. And man, when you first pushed that out, I was just so hopeful. And Councilor Western's perfect world, yeah, it would be amazing if this comes back and we've done our job and we've done it right. And so thank you for that.
Two questions. I do think also, great work. My questions are, so all changes to these charges, not fees now, all changes to charges come before this body to the council?
100%, yes, absolutely.
Okay. And then second question, so we're matching motor points fees, but is that, have they updated, I guess, while we're changing, is that the right one to match, or?
So yes, they went to the third-party billing last year, and Medicare and Medicaid, they did up their fees last year, beginning of 2025, and so that's when they matched theirs. So this is the new standard. This is what they are.
And they got their direction from the same third party.
Mm-hmm.
And this same third party is telling us, yes, these are the latest fees.
Right, they're saying, if you go for the average, you can see how that performs for you. And then the anticipation is like, okay, if that's performing but not quite well enough, we also know what the very top ends are. So, some of those districts, like, I think, is it Lane, like the county commissioners give them their rate and everything. Theirs is like way on the top.
Hood River is worse.
What's that?
Hood River, I think, is the worst.
Oh, Hood River, okay. Anyway.
Like the fire districts, which we're not. The fire districts, the county commissioners, they set the rates there, so that it's not really up for negotiation. They set that rate. Where here, we can negotiate and discuss things.
Right, and so the city council gets to set the rates.
So we can set these rates that we've discussed today, and who will the third party notify us when Medicare, Medicaid is up to things, or we have to reach out to them and find out when you're raising, or how often do they raise?
So that's my job.
That's your job.
To monitor, that's my job as the fire chief, to monitor those numbers very closely. And when I see the difference, that's when I come back to the city manager and say, hey, I noticed that they're upping the rates. So it's every 3 to 5 years. So it could be 3 years, it could be 5 years, but to keep monitoring those numbers to see when they do adjust it, and then that's my job to communicate with him, hey, this is what's going on, and then we bring it to you guys.
And we're above the amount that they do, so we will notice it when it happens. They're not going to tell us, but we'll see it.
We'll see that little bit more revenue coming in than what we were used to, and then we'll say, oh, hey, look, there was a rate change. We go back and look and see what the rate change was, and then we can revisit this again.
Yeah, I've got some procedural questions. Have you checked with other cities? Have they taken these charges out of their fee book?
I'm not aware that Counselor, that a lot of the cities actually have fee books anymore. I mean, they may.
I hate to tell you this, but it's my understanding it's a statutorily required thing you're supposed to have. I mean, when I was the district attorney, I had to go to a hearing every year in front of the commissioners to justify the fees that I was charging from my office, like for discovery and things along that line. And I was always told we had to go through it because that's what the law required, that we had to have a fee book and we had to have and we had to have the commissioners approve our fees. So
okay.
That's an issue for me. Is I don't have a problem with what you're proposing, but I just am concerned that if we're required to have a fee book, can we unilaterally pull something out of it? And that's why I'm asking the question.
Well,
I don't want somebody to come back at us and say, hey, you guys screwed this up, you shouldn't have done it this way.
Well,
I think it's a good idea.
Right.
I'm just trying to protect us.
Well, we'll check on that. Sorry, it's Oregon. It probably is, right? Which is ridiculous. But no, I understand that. Now, can we remove an item from the city's fee book? How about I suggest a friendly amendment to this resolution, which we just removing ambulance service related charges from the city's fee book. How about a resolution adopting updated service charges closer to the state averages and rescinding portions of resolution number? We don't even need that anymore. So all you would have is a resolution removing a resolution adopting updated service charges closer to the state averages. And that's it. That'd be the whole title of this, if somebody makes a motion to amend that.
So, wait though, is it a requirement that we have to have the ambulance fees inside the fee book?
Well, that's part of the question, although I don't think that they're fees, to be honest with you. Calling those fees, it's a service charge.
Because if we third party this out, that can change.
What's that?
And so that's the thing, like, I'm curious on if it's, like, so we might be required to have a fee book, right? That's the requirement. What is the requirement within that fee book? Is ambulance service in there? And so that's where I think that verbiage might be a little bit more friendly, is because there could just be a better way to simplify it. Especially since there's so many pathways with third parties where that could be out of control.
So I would say, Counselor, if we amend this way, it's not taking it out of the fee book. Good night.
So what I'm hearing you say is, by amending it, we can proceed to adopt the fees, because you're starting the month with the new fees. So we get this billing going, and then, Mr. Norbert, you can do the research to find out.
Right.
If we need to revisit and fix our amended resolution or look at a fee book at a different resolution, we can certainly.
Well, here's the great thing, if you pass it without all that other verbiage, you're just raising the fee, and if it has to be in the fee book, well, then somehow we'll drag that derelict document up and put it in there.
Well, I think you can take the document and you just put an addendum to it rather than rewrite it, but that would be, I'm not sure I'm right on this. I'm just saying this is what I had to go through when I was the district attorney, so.
Right, and I agree with you, Counselor, that we should be cautious there, but I think amending this title, then it allows us to pass the ambulance service charges tonight, and whether that to be in a fee book or on the Jupiter, scope or whatever the state requires, we can fix that. So,
that works.
yeah.
And if I'm wrong about, if what I've been told in the past, I'm wrong about fee book, well, then we can do another
Relook at it.
Right.
look at it. But-
Yeah, we could certainly come back in another meeting and say, and abolishing the city's fee book, or whatever, so,
Okay, if we can get rid of the fee book, that'd be great.
right, if we can, but,
And one more thing I would like to add, if you look here where it says aid call, no transport, refusal, and lift assist, that's not something that we've ever billed out before, right? It's always just been a public service, even though we had a charge for it, we never billed out for it. This third-party billing now, they're not gonna bill the patient, they're gonna bill the insurance. The insurance will pay for this. So, it's not uncommon for, 6, 7, 8 times a month, we just go pick Nana up off the floor. Well, we're leaving $565 on the table all day long, and I hate to be that way and say it that way, but they're not gonna see that fee, and that's why we never charge, because, it's a public service. But if your insurance is willing to pay for it at no cost to you, that's also added into this new charge. And we do that quite often, and we're happy to do it at any time. It's just, it's wear and tear and man hours.
it's $4,500 a month if you have 8 calls, so.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion that we approve the resolution as amended by our city manager to reflect that we change or put into the fee book that the charges by the ambulance service be consistent with state averages, and if necessary, parts of the fee book that would govern.
Sounds good. Motion on the table is to amend as stated by Mr. Norberg and adopt these fees into the fee book. Did I recap that well enough, Counselor? Okay. And we have a quick second by Counselor Waddington. All right. And that is Resolution 02-2026. Any other questions or comments?
I do have.
Yes?
It's not about the,
About the motion?
Yeah, it's not about the motion or anything like that. It's just a follow-up with what I'm seeing inside the fee schedule. It doesn't change anything with that. So
Okay.
I don't know if you want that now or if you want it.
Let's go ahead. We're on the
Okay.
topic, so go ahead.
So I have a couple more, which are the fire med fee, $60 per year, and that we do not cover air med. Is there something that we should be doing to consider getting into other types of services like that to help with this? Or maybe going to local employers and seeing if they will offer it during their annual signups to help increase revenue?
The city, we're offering that to our employees, the AirMed, like this next week. Is that right, Liz? So, but honestly, the FireMed, from a business perspective, is not a good thing for the ambulance service. I mean, it's not. What did you say to me, Chief? You would lose 50% on those calls? On average?
Is there a similar insurance company that we should consider?
So it's not really an insurance, as far as I know, is it?
No, so how the FireMed works, not for Medicare, but let's say we go down to Roseburg Forest Products and we pick them up, they have private insurance. So their insurance pays a certain percentage and the rest is billed out to them. But if they have the FireMed, they pay 50% of what the remaining balance is and we write the rest of that 50% off. So it's, if we transport you and your insurance pays $1,000 on a $2,000 bill, we're gonna bill you $1,000, but you're a fireman member, you're only paying $500, and we're writing that other $500 off. Now, if you have Medicare, we don't do that. Medicare pays what Medicare pays, and that's it. We don't send you a bill.
Right, so, but we do not cover AirMed, so if somebody is life flighted, they can't get coverage here.
You can get coverage here, like from AirMed. I mean, basically, they reached out to a member of the fire department and got routed to Liz, and so they're going to come down and try to sign people up. I highly recommend people do that. You can get that online. You don't have to have anything special.
Yeah, so FireMed is a fire department-based, ambulance-based membership. AirMed is not fire ambulance related.
Okay.
So when we started FireMed, Eugene Springfield started this in the late 70s. And it was very lucrative for them. They had bigger call volume, more people. We started doing that, and we would maybe generate 10 to 12,000 a year from our memberships, but we were writing off 14,000. But it was a thing that we could do for our community, our elderly community, to give them a chance not to have to pay a big bill. But it's not lucrative having firemen.
Okay, so we would be writing off 50%, but if we were billing that, and we would be getting a 50% contribution, but last year our rates were 38%. So in theory, if we had everyone signed up, wouldn't we be 12% better?
I mean, we got $6,000, I believe, roughly in revenue from that.
Right, but out of how many people? You know what I mean? So that's what I mean, is that, like, is there, like, there's got to be a crux inside that math where that makes sense. Because it is a benefit to the people, right? It is a benefit to me not to pay the full $1,000 bill and to buy this for $60, so that if I have this service, then I can not be stuck with $100,000 bill, or, you know, stuff like that. So that's the benefit of it, is that it's protectionary to the person.
Right.
But what I'm saying is also, if we were only, last year, if we were only collecting 38 cents on the dollar, this one would be paying us 50 cents on the dollar.
Well, in a way, but you
for
have
a much
local-
smaller margin of people, right? It's only $6,000.
Which is why wouldn't we try to do things to increase that margin?
Well, I think if it was really an insurance policy, so, you know, AirMed has tens of thousands of customers, so it's like $85 for your family. Okay, they can make money off that, right? Because they've got tens of thousands of customers, but our issue is that we've been practically giving this service away for years by not charging. I mean, we left hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table here. Hundreds of
I
thousands.
completely agree.
And now, how much does an ambulance cost, Chief?
As of yesterday, $287,000 for a demo.
So for a demo, right? The last one that we bought for the city, we had generous donors, it was $210,000.
Yeah, Rotary was one of them.
Yeah, so that was great, right? But now we're looking at $285. By the time we buy a new one, it's going to be $300, $325, the way these costs are escalating. You know, when we talk about fire trucks, but we can't. This is my opinion, council doesn't have to share it, but the ambulance service is a business. And if we don't run it like a business, we're going to lose it. And then they're going to pay a heck of a lot more money, you know? I don't see a benefit to the general population of having a few people that pay, you know, $60 and then only pay basically a quarter of their bill, and the insurance pays half. Okay, well, then we're writing off a quarter. Well, it depends on where we take them, how far it goes, right? I mean, if we're just running them to Coquille Valley Hospital, it's not that much. But if we're running them up to Eugene or, you know, Portland, how many transfers do we have to Portland this weekend?
We had 2 this weekend.
2 this weekend. So those, we want to get every dollar out of those. because that's honestly the best return we're going to get on any work the ambulance does.
And I'm not even sure,
Based on what I'm hearing, it was a very antiquated form of generating income, and I emphasize antiquated because it's not sustainable, and now the city has put itself into an administrator of an insurance that's not, it's just not working. So, anyways, yeah, and so I don't know, I mean, maybe that's something a new finance director can really take a look at and dive in once we have all the data from, but.
Well, you know, if it was set up so that the city had, this had a stop loss policy, right? You know, we get this many claims, they go against it, then it gets to this level, and we have an insurance policy that pays for the rest of it. Yeah, that would make sense.
$6,000.
Yeah. And again, it was built on people that didn't have insurance, so they're at least getting something for that, but we're writing off a whole lot more over the years.
Well,
That's why I think there's the piece that's actually, that there's the confusion here, and that there's also a big piece of it that's being missed. Because, for example, I have private insurance, and if I buy this, then it's only the 50% that's covered after my insurance pays. So then that just lessens the bill to me, right? And helps, still keeps your guys' revenue where it needs to be. So then why wouldn't we go to my employer and say, hey, why don't you sign up people, because it's a free $60 into that piece. You still get the billing rate that you want to get, and I reduce my expense, and we actually increase our bottom line. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't, that's where I'm talking about, that there's a crux here that is mismatched. Because if we have 100 people at my employer, and that increases our revenue $6,000, and lessens the fact that if I take a ride, look, I don't know, 16 years ago when Jason was ridden from Safeway with the robbery, right? We got a bill for $1,000, say. And then insurance puts its piece out, and then we just have a lower amount, and then we also be paying here $60. So that's where I think I'm a little confused on, maybe there's a market strategy here that isn't super beneficial. But at least if we're only collecting 38 cents on the dollar, which is what we collected in 2024, 50 cents on the dollar is still way better.
Except it's a categorically smaller ratio.
It is, but it's still better.
I would suggest that we have a motion on the floor.
Yeah.
And this discussion we can have during the budget session, because that's where we'll really get into, do we want to retain that or not? This resolution doesn't affect firemen, so.
Which is why I asked my question earlier.
Yes, that, yeah, I allowed it. Yeah. And we can come back to it right after take the vote. So the motion is on the table to approve amended 2026. All those in favor?
Aye. Unanimous, Liz? Okay, back to, you said you had another question, though.
No, those were the two.
So you want to revisit that at the budget committee?
Yeah.
Right. Where are we? Council goals, agenda item number 9. All right, councilors, what's Mr. Norberg has in front of us, the things we discussed at our council goal session and with staff as well. So, unless you have any other questions on that. Recapped, we just need a motion to adopt.
I move we approve our council goals.
Second. All right. Motion by Councilor Frazier to adopt our council goals for 26-27, seconded by Councilor Flynn. Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Thank you, Liz. And councilors. All right, number 10, Resolution 03-2026 to remove previous employee from all First Community Credit Union accounts and correspondence. Mr. Norberg.
Very simply, there's a requirement from First Community to have a resolution of the council to remove this former employee.
Mayor, I'm going to recuse myself.
So moved.
And I need to recuse myself.
I have to recuse two.
Big smaller.
Yeah, the vote's getting smaller, but I just heard a motion from Councilor Westrom to adopt 03-2026. Councilor Cooper and Councilor Corbis remove themselves from the vote.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Waddington. Any other discussion or questions? The rest of us are left. All in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, unanimous. Thank you. Right, we're going to go to number 11. Consider Resolution 04-2026, amending the personnel policy to add parameters regarding exempt employee vacation. Mr. Norberg.
This was the work of our HR director. In some discussions, there's never been an employee handbook that's perfect, ever. But we did kind of miss something, which was the categorization of vacation for regular exempt, non-represented, full-time employees. And so this discussed the amount given after 6 months of employment, and then the accruals going forward after that. So we missed the only non-represented group.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All right. Motion by Councilor Westrom to adopt Resolution 04-2026, seconded by Councilor Waddington. Any other question or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, that was unanimous as well. Thank you, Councilors and Liz. Thank you, Mr. Norberg and Liz, for your hard work. Number 12, consider authorizing city manager to sign contract with city attorney.
As we discussed with the council earlier, there's a contract renewal with Mr. Costello here, and staff would recommend that the council approve the city manager signing this document.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Waddington to adopt, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead here. Let me back up. Put the motion here. What is the motion that's moved? The motion is to authorize city manager to sign a contract with city attorney. I'm sorry, I was on the wrong page. That was by Councilor Waddington, seconded by Councilor Cooper. Any other discussion or questions before I call the vote? Thank you, Mr. Costello, and to your entire team for your service for the city. You've just done an amazing job. Thank you for your hard work. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? I think we're unanimous on the ayes. Yes. Okay. All right, now we're 13. Consider Resolution 05-2026, authorizing the city manager to open a checking account at Columbia Bank in Coquille to support the ambulance enterprise.
So part of, maybe I'm getting too much in vernacular, but if we were to treat the ambulance as a enterprise, which I've been told many times that it is, but it hasn't been, because it's not ever been close to, I don't know, ever. Because, 20 years ago, the numbers worked. There weren't, how many calls this weekend, Chief?
Just this weekend, we had 19.
19 calls in one weekend. That used to be a month, I would think. So, as it's gotten busier and everything, part of it being enterprise is very closely tracking the revenues that we're going to be getting from this billing consultant. One of the reasons I suggested Columbia Bank for this is that we have almost all of our funds in one institution, which is great, and they're doing a great job. But also, historically, every city or town that I've worked at, if there was more than one financial institution, the city had some accounts there. Now, what I like about this is to be an individual checking account We can totally audit that for revenues. It's a good management tool for us. And then we just transfer over money to pay the ambulance services bills. I think it's an efficient way to do it. It's not the only way to do it, but I don't know. I talked to them just a little bit. I didn't really tell them what it was about. You know, they got a 250 opening and 3,000 minimum. Well, there's going to be a lot more money in there than that. So, you know, not that they're better than anybody else, because I'm not saying that, but I do think from a tracking thing, it's like pull down the statements, go wham, and I kind of like it. And that'll be the only transactions going there. So then we can say, yeah, this is exactly how much money we made additionally in 2 3/4 months. And then we can start to project that out. We can look at call volumes, and the chief and I can sit down and give you guys a presentation on where it's going. So that is what the purpose of this is.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Motion is to adopt Resolution 05-2026 by Councilor Westrom, authorizing city manager to open a checking account at Columbia Bank, just with the ambulance enterprise, seconded by Councilor Frazier. All right, any other questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Thank you, councilors and Les. Good of the order. Anything for good of the order, councilors? And there we go. 8:12. We're going to close our general session. I'm going to turn it over to our URA, Madam President Corbus.
All right, so we'll go ahead and open at 8:12 as well. Okay, first up is the consent calendar.
Move to approve the consent calendar at 3/12/2026, 3/2/2026.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve by Member Westrom and a second by Member Cooper. Any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, next up, consider Resolution 01-2026 to cancel the First Community Credit Union URA account.
So to explain this, we pay the URA bills out of our finance department, and, you know, that checking account at one point, it was opened with $100. And that was a Rick Hombaum-ism. He never really used it for anything. I mean, I get the notion of it, but, you know, URA funds are separate by the account codes and everything, and we really haven't had any issue with that. Most of the URA funds are up in LGIP. So,
Yeah,
really didn't see a
doesn't
need
make
for it.
sense.
Yeah. I think there's 99 cents in there right now, so.
Yes, yeah, I need to recuse myself with it being First Community.
So moved.
Second.
Can I run the motion still? Can I run the motion?
Yes, you can run the motion.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you can run it. Oh, yeah.
All right, so we have a motion made. Oh, are you recusing too?
This one?
Yeah. No, okay. Okay, so we have motion made, Member Westrom again, and second by Member Waddington. Any other questions, comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. Okay, so next up, receive information on First National Bank Park and former theater building. Thank you, Stephanie.
Hey, thank you for having me tonight. Stephanie Martell with HGE Architects. In your council packet, you should have a revised preliminary cost estimate. I'm stapled together, sorry about that noise. This is revised based upon discussions with Public Works Director Mark Denning, and in regards to what we talked about at the last meeting, where we wanted to take out a few things and update these costs based upon inflation so that we can apply for a grant. So that's what you have before you. You'll see that the prefabricated item number 17, which is highlighted pink on my form, maybe it is on yours as well, that's for the prefabricated restroom building complete. After this was submitted to you, we're starting to get some pricing back from those prefabrication manufacturers. And so that number is still a very healthy number, and that should cover it, just for your information. So I would hope that you would take a close look at this and then recommend that your planning department and public works department get together and apply for some grants.
Question. URA is separate from city in the fact that of the audits, so we have better chance of grants with URA.
It states that people were applying for grants with, this is not federal funds.
Okay, okay.
It's state funds.
Okay.
Which we've been getting all along.
So they're not quite as stringent then. Okay.
I could say, Councilor Westrom, that the state parks doesn't really look at that sort of thing. They do look at your budget. You know, they want to see those numbers, and they want to see at least the last year, the last couple of years, but.
URA or city?
It's
It's just URA they're looking at, is that correct?
Well, they look at your department budget. So for our parks, I would give them the general fund budget that includes the parks. You know, that's what they wanted. So that entity, they would look at the URA budget as well. But I did want to add too that while applying for this grant, I don't know how in-depth Haley has gotten on the scoring for this, but my feel and my experience with it before is this type of project is nice and it fits for our needs, but it doesn't meet the score numbers as high as some of our other parks projects. It may be a good strategy to go in at a higher percentage match than we have on some of the parks projects. Now, for the trails, we went in about 35%. We had some good support already before we went. For the playground down there, we were only at 20%, basically their minimum match. I don't know if the odds might be a little better to go with a higher match percentage, just kind of warning people. I don't know if the URA's got a number in mind.
No, we'd considered that, and we're really open to that. Is there a recommendation that you would have for what our match should be?
Well, I think maybe the better approach is saying, what do you guys think at this point you want to commit to this project? Dollar-wise, not percentage-wise, just straight dollar-wise. What are you guys comfortable with, saying as representatives of the URA, what are we willing to put out there? Because I think that they're gonna want some sort of resolution or agreement, with the application that's saying, yes, we're willing to commit this, this amount of money to the
I think that having some sort of ballpark to see, just kind of test the waters, like if you threw us a number on what you thought about a percentage, and then we could kind of be,
off the top of my head, I'm thinking 50%, and that's way off the top of my head.
The number I had in my head was $500,000.
Yeah.
That's not quite 50, but that's, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a multiplier effect on our money, so.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at flipping the whole bill.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think anything that we can get is claw back is just even better.
I personally, I like the 50%.
And if that's what
You're recommending.
Percent would be good.
Yeah.
I think it might be better. Now, I haven't really had time to sit down with Haley and strategize this and actually look at the scoring. She's pretty good at going down through that and getting a feel, for that number. So I think that that's good. Really with us, it's more of, it's not really a percentage, let us, try and figure the strategy and our best chances of getting it. But what are you guys comfortable with financially committing to it? And if that $500,000 is, something you already thinks, yes, this market is worth it.
I'll just speak for myself.
And work with that.
I have no idea where we would be at on that, so you giving us that 50% and wiggle room around there, I'm fine with those numbers. If I was gonna make an educated guess, there's not much education in this line of work to do it with, so.
What is their?
But it's really, the commitment on your guys' part is the dollar amount, right? Ultimately, that's what's important.
Good stewardship.
Do they have a max recommendation on what, like tiered, so is there, like, do they even do only like a 30% grant and we would be coming in at 70, or is like 50 like the highest tier that they would have?
I can't really answer that. I mean, it's a little bit of a black box to us, they evaluate them all as a whole, they look at their applicants, and it changes, really, what your chances change on, first of all, how many applicants come in, and good projects come in, and then how ready your project is.
51%.
Yeah.
We'll pay a majority.
You're educated guess.
This isn't let's make a deal.
Hey, if we're 51%, we're probably gonna be the highest match.
Well, when I want to mention 50% would be higher than 500, but I want to mention to the counselors, the other thing that Haley mentioned is that when you already have a stake in the game too, so I want to offer, like, I don't want to wait. I feel like that archway, if that's our intent to move forward and go for this, we cannot delay having that looked at professionally and have it worked on immediately. So even if we're going to invest $50,000 to $70,000, which I think is, $95,000, now we're a little bit over 50% as far as, money we have in it to make sure that brickwork is preserved, because that's the ultimate goal anyways.
And that was going to show movement and commitment towards it as well, maybe not counting towards that percentage on the match, but it would at least be able to be documented during the application.
I would just add that maybe the other thing that you would consider is the brick facade wall that will have a mural on it, and maybe that is the other thing that you start looking at wanting to make those repairs. That can happen at any time. It doesn't have to happen, when the park is going in. And so those two things.
That 95 was for the brick wall and the arch.
Yeah.
Stephanie, do you recall the deadline for the large grant?
I don't remember.
June 5th was in there?
Okay, so we've got at least one more meeting between now and then, so we can, we can make this a priority and try and get something a little more concrete to you guys, because I think, Haley probably remembers this better than I do, but I do think that the grant does require a resolution from, in this case, it would be the URA, saying that, yes, we're ready to commit this amount of money to the project. So that, at that time, we'll nail that down. But I think we'll probably be coming to you with something more around that, around a 50% match. And, got to check and see exactly what's eligible, in this. I know they don't accept contingencies. They say, put your contingency in your estimate. Don't put it down at the bottom. We like to see it, engineers like to see it like this, we like to see it like this, for real numbers, but, for the funders, they say, go ahead and put your contingency up in your project. So we'll take a closer look at all that.
I have two questions. Number one, does the owner of the building know that we're going to put a mural on it?
I believe so. I believe Mary Sam has been.
Yes, a lot of that pre-conversations has happened, and they're very amiable to it. Everybody on those connecting walls are very supportive. Yeah.
And then, Mark, do you remember, did we spend about $250 for the restrooms that are down at the Riverwalk?
No.
Are we looking at something totally different?
Prices have gone up a bit. I do think after, like Stephanie said, we had a little trouble getting some response, so I think we put in a little bit of an inflated number in time to meet the council packet. Since that time, I was able to get the guy to respond, and I'm hoping we're looking more at like a 150 number based on what he was telling us.
Based on what we received.
Is that about what the one cost down?
Yeah, I think down there we were a little less than that. That was an earlier time.
Right, I understand.
However, that structure is a little bit more, is a little more expensive than the one I think we're proposing for downtown.
Okay.
Same footprint, less roof peak, and there's something that kind of fits a little better downtown, so, yeah.
But, so, I guess, what would do, we don't need to make a decision tonight, we're just saying go forward, and
think we
continue, or?
Yeah, we can come up with a decision if we want, or we can wait until next meeting if we're,
Well, my other question was, in our last meeting, we talked about the restroom, and whether the city wanted to maintain it, and if that was a good idea. And I think, in general, we're saying yes, because otherwise it would be a burden on the surrounding businesses, but at the same time, it becomes a burden for the city to maintain.
Right, I mean, I like the solution of just opening it up for events down there, and not having it just be a general rest stop for, whoever to go use. I mean, if you want to do that, we've got the community building open during the day. We've got across the street at the Riverwalk, there are facilities available. But I understand the logic of if you're going to host events down there, if there's going to be events, then, it is a lot better, a lot more sanitary, a lot better look too than, just having rental potties down there. It's also a base for, like, say, your meter base and a place to land everything.
And storage is on the back side.
And I think that would just be, and I was with you, Mr. Denning, when you were talking about it, because I empathize with our public works, but I have to say, first impression, hospitality, and we're wanting, those businesses want us to draw people into our downtown. Into our shops. To have a nice park with a closed bathroom is not inviting. Mm-hmm. So, I think that would just be what we'll have to figure out. I understand, I empathize.
That is disgusting,
I'm with you. I think if we're going to invest that type of money, it should be open all the time. If we're only going to do it for events, that's a lot of money for a once in a while use. We might as well bring in others.
I do think there's other opportunities here. I mean, first of all, we would certainly go with time locks on this, like we have, and that has greatly improved. I think, other options here are considering, having one restroom open at a time. Just make it more realistic. They're unisex. It's not like you have people standing in line waiting outside of it. So if you have an issue with the restroom, then you can go down and say, listen, we don't have time to deal with this right now. Lock it up, open up the other one, and then we'll go in and clean it up. I think, thirdly, I think that it is definitely more of a fishbowl down there than any of our other sites. So a little bit tougher. We could benefit from cameras that businesses might have around there. They're expensive for us to maintain and not quite worth it, but I think some businesses may have cameras downtown that could pick up activity where we could nip that sort of thing in the bud, so, yeah.
And I'm assuming we could add that to our Adopt a Park program potentially, and I will sign up, volunteer, and be down there to help, because, great. But thank you, and then, totally empathize with the hard work our public works puts into that, for sure.
Are we going to commit to anything tonight, or are we going to just wait and?
I think we've given them guidance, go.
Yeah, I think for the grant application purposes, we'll probably be coming to you at next meeting and asking you to, I don't know, with URA if they have resolutions or what you guys would
resolutions.
sign. Yeah, that would commit a certain dollar amount, to the.
Something definitive to vote on, like, okay, this is what their grant application, this is the percentage.
Right, the ORPD would expect, so that's the requirement basically with the application, is that you have the other funding for the project, so.
In regards to the arch and the wall, can we do a request for proposals or whatever to see if we can get some bids on that?
Yes, I would recommend that we put out a quote. We just ask, our local community for, get 3 quotes and see what we can get.
Do we need to do a formal motion to ask this URA to do that, or can we just?
Don't really need a motion. If you guys direct us to do it, we'll do it. And then the part where you get to vote on is the bids, so.
So I think you start with that too.
Yep.
And include the other brickwork, because it's all kind of brickwork.
The brickwork.
So all of the restoration.
You estimated for both would be like 95,000, correct?
Okay.
Well, that would be a good indicator too on the grant too, that we're moving forward.
You have specs on those two items?
I could put things together.
Yeah, if you would, that'd be great.
And Mark, on that, you and Haley do such a great job on all of these grants. If there's something that ends up, that you see and you're like, hey, we need to go higher on the match, please just let us know, because I think pretty much from what I've gathered is the spirit is we want this done. We're just looking at getting as many matching funds. So if there's a recommendation that you're seeing in there that even if it's not 50%, maybe it's more, like, I am very open to that, just because any money that we can get towards this would just be beneficial.
Yeah, the problem is it's hard to say. You know, you commit to a number going in, and what the big wild card is who else is coming in with an application and how ready are their projects. My take from Parks is that they really like the people whose projects are ready. And, you know, we've got a good presentation for them, and we can even embellish that very quickly, you know, and show them, you know, how ready we are. Plus the recent track record with them will help, but yeah, you're putting a lot of pressure on me.
I don't say that this First National Bank, we're going to need to get project is really close to being, you know, construction ready, document complete.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, it just, you tell me what you want to see in the application, and we have those drawings.
Yeah. I think that even, you know, a lot of what we have put together, you know, it's pretty close, and it probably looks a lot better than some of the other projects that they see. So, it's just a lot of it's just kind of luck of the draw, you know, your timing on it, and you know, there's not a lot we can do about that.
Great. Thank you. Okay, that was First National Bank Park. Now we will move on to the old theater site. I'm going to give a little background information before we just jump right into this. So I'm going to pass out a few handouts that you didn't get in your packet.
Oh, you want me to?
Just pass them along.
Yeah. All the excitement's done.
Take one, pass it along. I've noticed that there are several new counselors that were not engaged in the initial streetscape report and presentation. And so I just wanted to kind of go back a couple years and talk a little bit about the Coquille Streetscape and Parking Plan project and how that came about. We spent nearly a year having public comment and meetings and putting together presentations and engaging the community in envisioning what the streetscapes of Coquille could look like in the future. And the big dream is to not have overhead utility lines and poles, and that would be to put everything underground and in its place have street trees and planters and wider sidewalks and just have a more inviting urban renewal district. So it encompasses pretty much the entire urban renewal district of downtown. So as we talk about the old theater site along Birch Street, what I've handed out to you on the first page is just a kind of a summary of what came about in those streetscape discussions. And the first bullet point is the one that is the one we're really going to focus on. And that's at North Birch from Highway 42 to 2nd Street. We plan to do a two-way realignment. That means that weird space, medium, where the post office drop box is, would go away. We would realign the street, and we would relocate that post office drop box. The goal would be to provide access to a public parking lot, and that is highlighted on that first sheet, and that is the old theater site that we're talking about today. We wanted to, where the existing parking is along the community building and in between that median. We would bump that out and we would create a public plaza food truck court along the face of the community building there. So that is kind of what the realignment of Birch Street was intended to be. Now, as if you flip the page, you'll see this was a rendering, just kind of what we envisioned through these meetings, what, the before and after of the Birch Street Gateway. And then if you continue to flip through, you will see an aerial drone shot of what the existing site looks like now after the building has been removed. And, we all drive by there and we all see it, and we have a big hole in some retaining walls that are not structurally sound. And I have a couple different angles of that. The very last image that we have really shows what the sidewalks look like currently. And if we're talking about a improvement to that area, we really need to talk about what the streetscape is going to look like, and if we want to tackle sidewalk improvements along with the parking improvement project. So, that being said, I'll now have you flip to your packets, and on the first page we'll look at the first rendering, and it's called Option 1 Site Plan. And this Option 1 Site Plan is our minimal approach to the whole parking concept. It would demo the existing retaining wall that is shared along that property line. And so it's kind of like that midway point that has if you look at that photo, it has the access down. The old theater wall. We would demo that. And it would also, it would demolish all of that. And so if you recall and if you look at the aerial, you'll see that where Uncle Randy's Cafe is, on the back side of that, there's an existing retaining wall. And then there's a private parking lot. Our proposal would be just to open that, demo all of the in-between walls and kind of open that up. That would open up line of sight. So for patrols, they would be able to see inside the parking lot area, both parking lots. Just for security purposes, it can be signed, public parking, private parking, very similar to how the broiler parking lot is signed right now. The access for this proposal, remember, like minimal. So the retaining walls along the existing sidewalks on Birch Street and First Street would remain. We would propose that the access would be, passenger vehicle only, and it would be, you'd enter through off Birch Street through the alley. Right now we're showing some ADA parking so that they could kind of come up onto the sidewalk and potentially get across the street to the post office or to the community building. In speaking with Mr. Denning, maybe we don't need those theoretically, or maybe we can drop it to 1, but those are things that we can explore. The other thing about this option would be we would propose, like a 4-foot high decorative fence along the top just to prevent anybody from wanting to jump over into the parking lot, but it would also create a nice little boundary. And I might even suggest proposing that the white picket fence that the neighbor has be replaced by the city so that it looks very cohesive, if this was the option that we were going toward. You'll see in the rendering that we're proposing a couple site lights, parking lot lights in there, a couple down at pedestrians level, so the dual height ones that we have in our streetscape project. Okay, so that's option 1. Any questions about this? This is like bare bones. We go in there, we demo, we remove all the fill, we prep it, and we pave it as a parking lot.
I'm assuming option B is a lot more expensive.
Yes. Your assumption would be very correct.
They've got 3 more options.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Build upon that.
Yes.
you would have, the parking would be below street level.
Below First Street level, correct. Accessed off of Birch Street, which is essentially how they're accessing the private parking lot down there already. So either behind, from the broiler parking lot, I'm calling it that because that's what I call it, behind the Mexican restaurant, laundromat, or off of Birch Street, that's how you would access this parking lot.
Wait, not off of First Street. You wouldn't, off of Birch.
On option one.
Option one, it's the alley.
Off of the alley. That's how we have it proposed.
Oh.
Otherwise, we have to demo all of the walls and sidewalks, and we'll get to that in our next
Off
option.
of Birch, not First.
Correct,
Right.
Alley off of Birch.
correct.
Between CarQuest and the existing.
Right.
Yes.
So Stephanie, just a couple of quick things on that. So if we did that, I would propose that that sidewalk from the alley up to First Street would need to be replaced.
That would be lovely.
I mean, I think that should be part of the project.
We could replace that no matter what. I mean, because we did all that work.
Well,
This is just my, like, bare bones, you don't want to spend a lot of money, but you want a parking lot, here's how we could go about it.
Right, and I would just say, even in the most bare bones thing, we should tear out that part, that we should replace that sidewalk. Because if you have even one ADA parking spot there, they come out in the alley, so you got to make sure that that alley is paved properly. And they're either going to try to cross the street, Birch, which is fairly terrifying, or they can go up the hill to First and then cross that way, which I think would be great.
What's our infrastructure underneath it? Are we doing a lot of work that's gonna have to get torn out eventually, or are we completely freaking clear of anywhere we would be working in the future?
No, I think we're pretty clear in that sidewalk.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're.
Okay.
I think we're, the one concern that I've got with this option is exiting onto Birch Street. It's because of your proximity to 42 and to the random assortment of folks backing out of the post office over there.
True.
I think that I really like the simplicity of this idea, but I think that needs a serious look, like, maybe by the safety committee, taking a look at that, or possibly even a traffic engineer.
Yeah, he's concerned about people coming out here with people backing up.
The whole access is, the whole access and the whole pedestrian access is problematic to me.
I think you could solve it with a one-way direction through that alleyway.
Coming out where?
Coming out over at the other parking lot, over towards where the coffee shop is. You have to come out of the broiler parking lot right out the highway.
Yeah, I think we're going into private property.
Yeah, you're crossing over
Actually, private property
property.
there, just like, they drive into there, but that part right there by our hole in the ground is the city's property.
Yeah.
It's not actually a right-of-way.
And that alley technically, I think, dead ends into that coffee shack drive-up.
Yeah.
No, you can go all the way through.
You can go all the way
You can go
through.
all the way through. About three directions.
It's private.
But it's private property.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah, there's a truck parked right there. Okay. All right.
There's another problem I see with this, is you're below street level, you put a 4-foot fence around, you're still gonna have some stupid kid gonna jump over the fence and break their leg, and guess who's gonna get sued? It's gonna be us. And the same thing if you got somebody that, you're just down the street from a restaurant, bar, whatever, and Cooper and I have been to too many crashes where people have gone through fences and over down embankments, and it's just not. I think that design, it's, I know it's the cheapest, but I think it creates some liability issues for us.
Just to note, there is only a 4-foot fence on that existing private parking lot that's been there, I think, my entire life.
And no one's jumped off of that.
And I don't know if anybody's ever jumped off of that,
But there's a yet.
but
That's my biggest.
I feel like I might have heard about it if it happened.
My biggest concern every time I walk by
Yeah.
there is that somebody's gonna go over that fence, or somebody's gonna drive through that fence, and it's gonna end in that hole. They're gonna get sued. It's just- It only takes one.
That is correct. You can't fix stupid.
Okay, that's option one.
But-
Okay, so as we move along, I gotta see what I'm at here.
We're just hearing options.
You're,
We're just hearing options.
that seems like it might not be good.
Do you have price differences on these?
I haven't done any of that exploration. It's just kind of like off the top of my head.
Okay.
The more improvements, the more expensive it gets. Okay, so option two would eliminate the sunken hole. And so now we're kind of prepping for what the future development could be. So in this option, we're proposing doing a streetscape improvement. As, you know, city manager has noted, like that sidewalk is terrible as it is, so why not just do that curve and that sidewalk? There's actually a really good, where the existing, I mean, there's a pretty good, one of these photos, you can see it. I mean, this one you can kind of see, this is pretty new sidewalk along here to this point.
To a point.
And then I would propose that that's our, kind of our starting point on this option two. And then we do the streetscape bump out but if we did the bump out, we potentially have to do the realignment of Birch Street and the restriping.
Yeah.
So that is something to consider with this option, is if that's something that we want to do. What the traffic engineer and I like about the bump out is it gets those pedestrians just a little bit closer. That is a very wide crossing for pedestrians. And the whole goal of this public parking lot is to help relieve some of the parking issues that we have at the community building during events, right? And so by having that bump out, we get them a little bit closer. It's safer for them to cross the street to get to the community building. In this option, we would then relocate, man, the spelling's terrible, the post office drop box. The only way you can drop off a package then is if you came down Birch Street and pulled into that lane and dropped it off from the driver's side of the vehicle, which is essentially what we do now. We just have to go around the median.
You're showing the drop box on West First, though.
Yeah?
First is a one-way.
Yes?
So you'd have to go all the way around to come back down First Street
Yes.
to get to the, I'm just helping you out.
Instead of doing a U-turn and going around the median.
Well, that's illegal anyway, because there's a no U-turn sign there.
That's illegal, huh?
How do you get there? If you're going north on Birch Street and you want to drop off something in the drop box, no, just existing.
Okay,
There's no-
existing, yes,
no-
you go up to the stop sign.
You go to the stop sign and you turn left and you
But it's
turn back
well,
down.
right, but then it's an illegal U-turn to go back the other way, though.
A
But
comment.
what you're saying, but
Yeah, we don't pay attention.
the picture here,
Yes, it would go right
you're
there.
putting the drop box over there.
So I'm saying if I
That's
go
a
north on
one-way- that's
Birch,
a one-way
I would have to
street.
go around,
You'd have to go all the way
down,
around.
correct, yes, I
Okay,
would.
that's what I wanted to make
Yes,
sure that we were
correct.
on the same page.
We are on the same page, that is
Okay.
what I'm proposing,
Okay.
And as you might recall, the postmaster was like, yeah, fine.
yeah. It's actually shorter difference from the post office than it is currently.
Tell that to the post office.
Well,
Anyway, I digress. These are just ideas, right?
there are just ideas.
Keep in mind they're ideas.
Concepts, brainstorming here tonight. Okay, so this is, I mean, essentially, there is no access now off of the alley because now we're building new retaining walls,
Filling it up
right?
and
We're
making
filling it all in, we're raising it up to the First Street level. The access in and out would only be on First Street in this proposal. Do you want to jump in now, Mark?
I do. I think there's an option, opportunity
2A.
here with option two, and then also get a one-way entrance off of Birch into the, I guess, southwest corner of that parking lot. So eliminate that parking spot in your upper left there, and then just make it a one-way in off of Birch Street.
So an entrance
So-
only?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what he's thinking is somewhere right here,
Yeah.
just so you can come in right off Birch, so then you don't have to go all the way around to First Street to get in and out of that parking lot.
And I do think, I don't know if you looked at it closer after we talked, but I think the grading allows for
We
this.
think so. We're building a new retaining wall there, so, I mean, we can slope it however we need to retain
Yeah.
the grades in the new parking lot.
I mean, it would mean the parking lot is sloped, but that's not such a bad thing, a slight slope to that parking lot. It rains a lot here sometimes. This year notwithstanding, normally, sometimes
you can tell
it's
us where
good
to
to have
take
a
the
little bit
stormwater.
of slope to that parking lot, It hides some paving imperfection.
So again, with this, we have streetscape improvements. I'm still proposing that 4-foot-high fence around the whole thing, just to kind of make it secure. Now, Councilor Frazier, on this one, we actually have a concern because now we're putting a new retaining wall we still have an adjacent sunken parking lot, private parking lot. So we're putting a new retaining wall and a new fence to prevent people from jumping off
Well, it's
into the
a little
sunken
bit
parking lot.
different from that perspective is, from the one at the first proposal, you could have somebody standing on the street level. That's what I was worried about, was street level people doing, kids doing stupid things, or somebody driving through the fence down into the lot. But in this proposal, you...
We do, I will point out to that point that we've got a low picket fence. It's actually not ours. Technically, that picket fence along there is the private property owners. We've helped them when it's got some serious problems and put some Band-Aids on it to make sure it's stable. But I don't know of any instance. I know that the city, my understanding is the city made them put that up. You guys might remember a couple decades ago, maybe. From the looks of it, it was at least a couple decades ago. But I don't know of any, not to say it wouldn't happen in the future, but I don't know of any issues, maybe somewhat surprisingly.
Yes, we haven't had a problem in the past.
Right, yeah.
I think my concern with this one is now we have vehicles that are parking in here. Some people like to back their vehicles in, and we're going to have to reinforce wheel stops or do something to prevent them from wanting just to back all the way over the edge through the fence and down into the sunken parking lot.
Have we looked, I realize I'm new on the council, but have we looked at trying to buy that existing private parking lot?
We haven't. It's owned by a gentleman or party in Springfield. It used to be owned locally, but that went away a while ago.
Allow public parking there.
Well, if you've seen any of the cars down there, they're less than stellar.
I mean, it
wouldn't be
a bit of an eyesore as it is, but if we could buy it.
I like that as an idea.
And that would really help expand public parking availability for
Right.
Coquille.
That would be a huge boon to this project.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't imagine this guy's making a bunch of money off that private parking lot with all the jumping.
I think they're mostly all his.
Yeah, well, that could be.
Because now, if we flip to 3A, and we look at, so now we're building upon this idea that we've built new retaining walls and we've filled it with structural fill. And so what could it potentially look like? So in options 3A and 3B, you're going to see an option for mixed-use development. So in 3A, we have an approximate 4,000 square foot building that faces out toward First Street. So in this rendering in the bottom corner, you can kind of see how I envision what that could look like, and especially with that big wide bump out that we have from the streetscape project, now you have a really neat lower level that could be a restaurant that could spill out kind of into a covered outdoor eating area, or, it could create a really nice space right there on that corner. That corner lot becomes really neat. In this option, we're trying to retain some parking along the back, the alley access, thinking that potentially you could have, it could either be public parking or with a staircase kind of up the side, or a ramp that could create some ADA access from the lower level to the retail space at First Street, or it could accommodate maybe a mixed use. So Maybe that ramp also has a landing where you can get residents upstairs. So that's this option. And then I'm going to, before we kind of discuss that one, I'm going to move into option 3B so we can kind of compare and contrast the two. So option 3B moves the building toward the back side. So now the back of the building is on the alley retaining wall in that corner. And you can see now it's kind of pulled off of the corner, and we're proposing parking could go there. I mean, both options, we just flip-flopped it essentially, but
Would a parking garage not be an option with that site?
we've already explored the option of having a parking garage, and so these were exploring options of something different, so more like
Well, I don't
mixed
mean
use.
like a full-fledged, but like at least where the area is still used, like underground parking and then the building on top.
You could potentially do that, but that's going to be extremely
That
expensive.
would be because all of the, under the, not geothermal, but whatever the issues with soil.
Yeah, it needs to be restabilized.
It would,
But I know one of the options that we were talking about last time was the fact that it would be, potentially, we restabilize it so that it's attractive to somebody to build.
Right, in the future.
With spitballing.
I mean, yeah, this is just ideas.
idea time, yeah. These give you more ideas, spitball.
Because we did talk about having the option to develop it more in the future. So for instance, if we did option 2, just for example, as an idea, is it just fill and we're not going to be able to ever build on top of that, or do we do?
No, I would propose option 2 would be you do structural fill so you can potentially build a building.
And build on top.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we would have to know kind of the square footage, that's why I threw out a square footage number, kind of the size of a building that you would want on there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could fill the whole thing up with a building if you chose, but having that just so that if we decide to move forward, then we have some ballpark rough idea to run those calculations and numbers on what that structural fill needs to be, whether you need piling, what that looks like.
So option 2 is the fill, bringing everything up to grade, except for we still have the potential of.
Backing over the edge.
Now we're having the potential of vehicles going.
Yeah.
over. Whereas you gotta jump a 10-foot wide sidewalk and then a fence to currently drive over. But at least option 2 gives us a little bit more eye candy and something a little bit more pleasing for potential development.
Yes.
And just better pedestrian access to their cars,
Well,
and to the
true.
community
Yeah.
center, and to the crosswalk. So based on what I'm hearing you say,
Well-
Stephanie, option 2 with 3B. So, I mean, because I own a building with a small parking lot downtown. It's really nice to have a small parking lot. So
That
I mean,
off-street parking.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
off-street parking. So, if we were looking at this conceptually, like, okay, this is going to be a lot of money, but what if half of that parking lot is structurally built for a potential building? So we plan for the future. Then you could marry the two, right? That's what you're asking, is. so
Well,
then you
essentially
don't-
that would be option 3, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, it'd be.
I think 3A would make more sense because if you look at, only in the fact, there's 2 points. On 3A, you're putting a building up against that drop-off parking lot, so there's less chance that someone's gonna drive through a building now and go all the way over. Versus 3B, where you're basically splitting 2 lots.
And you still have that same issue that we have in option 2.
And then you still have the potential, if you go 3B, because now you're moving the back of the building to the alley, and you're still going to have a potential for vehicles. So I think if anything, 3A would be,
Problem with that one is it's, the only access is through that alley, and off Birch then. And so I'm just.
For 5
So
parking
I-
spots,
so I-
though, that's
so I
not a
get-
big
but I'm
deal.
talking- But I'm talking about, we're gonna build it out for an entire parking lot right now, right? I mean, that's what we're saying. We're gonna do this whole site for a parking lot with the idea that half of this might be infrastructure underneath for potential development in the future. And so, thinking about then, okay, it could be 10 years, I don't know, I'm just 5
Or
years, 10
longer.
years, or longer.
Right.
And so, is that alley really, and to Mark's point, I have the same concerns, man. Coming out of that alley back close to Highway 42 is huge problematic. And so that's the only reason I don't like that option, is because I'm thinking 10 years or longer before a building's actually built there. So, it's hard, it's not easy, but.
Nothing is easy.
Yeah, but then maybe we develop it, let's say, okay, maybe we do start negotiating, and we could buy that other lot down the road, and so that can be developed along the way, with a future building maybe, and so that solves that. I think some of those, bollards, or what do they call those?
Bollards?
Bollards?
Bollards, there's a way we can make sure that at least a car's not gonna go off the edge. We can make provisions for that.
So is there a reason why in option A, that the part that's reserved for the building footprint couldn't be painted for a parking lot?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Which one?
Which option?
Currently used for a parking lot, but.
Yeah,
You're talking about
because if
3A?
if it's not going to be built on, because what it's demonstrating, right, is that there's the 5 spots.
No, no, that's what I'm saying. That's a whole parking lot, but it still leaves us with only the access through the alley.
Okay.
So options 3 or options 2, but showing where your building footprint could go.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
I mean,
we can
essentially.
strike the whole-
Or option 1, option 2.
Well, okay, just because. Well, I'm just looking at, on 3A, if we put the building on the first Birch corner, basically where the fronts of both Theater and Bill's Place used to be. Why couldn't access come off of where that tree is, where your RV parking is, instead of the alley?
Yeah, it most definitely can. We were just exploring different options for you. We can lift that whole parking lot and move it to the top. Yeah.
There's a
So
whole,
it's not the alley, it's the driveway location. So alley or not, it's the close proximity of the driveway access to that property, to Highway 42, in lieu of the post office across the way and the other oncoming traffic. That's it doesn't matter, it's more about where the driveway, so that still puts the
Come out
driveway
on
too
first.
close to Highway 42.
It's a weird spot.
yes, I know, I
Yeah.
buy it 100 times a
Yeah.
day, but how is it any different than the access that CarQuest is using to get onto Birch Street? How is it any different from people coming off of West First, turning right or left onto Birch Street?
Is there a
Well,
grandfather
first and foremost,
way?
separated. I'd say you got a point with CarQuest, I would say the traffic's probably not as high. I would also say that, you notice what the ODOT did when they re-put that up. They put an entrance right there on their driveway that said no exit.
Right.
And people still go out that way, and they cause accidents, which it angers me. They caused an accident with one of my crew a couple of years back, because somebody stopped, because somebody was coming out of that onto 42 when they're not supposed to be.
And turning left, going over the boulevard, and
Now, that one I haven't seen. But that does not surprise me at all. So, it's all, I'm very, trepidatious about adding anything to that area. I think it's bad enough as it is, but, like I said, I just think considering that, I would encourage the safety committee to, do some sort of look at that and say, okay, is this viable, and if it is there anything we should do to alleviate those concerns?
Well, and I think, our traffic engineer, Kelly Sando, who is part of this project, has already kind of done a traffic study for Birch Street. And so my thought would be that we would kind of send her this and I would have this conversation with her and see where that sweet area is on Birch Street to put a driveway. I think that would be probably a next step if we wanted to have access off and on Birch Street.
Yeah, I can tell you, I don't think in this day and age we would permit that driveway at CarQuest. The alleyway is probably about borderline on our distance from that intersection, based on the type of road that we've got out there.
And something else crazy to think about is making West First two-way again.
Well, when I was on site, at two different occasions, there was somebody that tried to turn down.
Some people do that.
Some guy was like towing a trailer and he was trying to turn and I'm like, no, don't do that. But he was looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, that's a one way,
I
man.
can see leaving West First on the other side of Central one way because of how that, but it seems to me that the way we have, that the way West First is right now, currently going that way, you know, that could theoretically be.
You'd have to move that post office drop box.
Theoretically, I think.
It's all theoretical.
Theoretically, I think the idea of the streetscape plan, though, going single lane, was it still maintained an angle-in parking lot?
Yes.
So we're trying to maximize all the parking we can downtown within reason. And so on that original streetscape plan that she showed, narrowing it to single lane, so it's parallel, much like the other side, parallel and then angle in. So we're maximizing parking, one lane only, so it's less confusing. The bump outs force it to one lane anyway, so that when you get to the end and you get to Birch, you're going right or left. There's not two lanes trying to. So, yeah.
So, food for thought, study them, look at them. I think that if you were interested in moving forward on to move forward on the project anyway, you need a topographical survey. That is something that was not done in the study that was done previously for the parking garage. We don't have the survey data and the grades that we would need to even come up with any further than this concept. I mean, this is like taking aerial photos and then me drawing. So,
is there a way to, get just a rough cost estimate so that there's only a certain amount of money?
I can't quantify how much fill is going to be necessary without actually where the utilities are and all of those things without having that data. And I need that data to really move forward on anything that we do, even a cost estimate.
What would be a ballpark for that survey?
I have no idea because Civil West is already engaged in the streetscape project, so I think it would just be kind of like this was an amendment to our contract. I would just ask them for a fee quote to do that.
Can you get that fee quote without costing us an arm and a leg?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I would get that fee quote that would be available for your next council meeting. And then you would kind of know, whether you wanted to go forward and have it surveyed and get that data and move forward, or if that survey document then becomes part of the package that you're building along with these concept drawings for a developer, right? So that it's those two things. Either you want to move ahead and advertise, say, hey, developers, look, now we have a survey done, we have all of this information, here's kind of what we're thinking, or you want us to continue to run the gambit of a parking lot.
So,
I would just like to know roughly what it's even going to cost to even get started. And I think that's what that topographic.
Yeah, I gotta have data so that I can run numbers.
Yep. And if they can give you that information, then you can relay it to us next month.
Well, I can't give you numbers on how much this would cost, but yes, no, definitely, their fees, yes.
What their fees are.
Absolutely.
They might have a fee book.
I think they do.
I wasn't around for the original, streetscape, how it's all laid out, but it would be beneficial, it seems, to kind of have a 10-year plan of projects and to know what are we going to try to tackle and what is now versus 3 years versus 7 years.
Or we can get you one,
And so then, if it's already been done, this fits into our schedule, like this was,
Yes. So, part of the
because in my mind,
report,
we're like trading, like, do we, how much do we go into this? What are we giving up on other projects that?
so that was part of the report, and part of the report was like, where are you gonna get your biggest bang for your buck? And that's what we did in the report, and then we kind of itemized it, like, one to 5 years, and then longer scenarios. What URA proposed to do, gosh, has it been a year ago or longer, was North Adams, because they thought that would give us the biggest bang for the buck, but it came in really high. It came in big bucks. And it's because our construction market was pretty volatile at the time, and, asphalt is extremely high right now, concrete is extremely high, and so the cost of construction is high. That and the cost to put the utilities underground was significant. And
So do we need to reevaluate?
I would suggest
All that, because like,
everybody
even that last
having
one
this.
with the first bank, like 1.2 million.
Yeah,
For, that's a lot.
yes.
For,
I would suggest looking at this. Everybody should have a copy of this for us. And then maybe they can look at it, and maybe that's something that URA talks about, is like what your projects are for the future.
I know I don't have one.
No. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that would be, I think that's a great discussion.
I can get
for you
caught
all.
up on my own time, but it feels like if everything came in, the cost estimate is so much higher, and now we can't move forward in the original intent.
Well, this is 2023 numbers, and things are significantly higher.
So maybe it's worthwhile to reassess.
So part of the streetscape was to give us a plan, a pretty cohesive plan, so that any improvements we made, we would have a plan. So thus, the whole striping project of Central was out of that streetscape plan. All of these realignments were birthed out of that. So we did all of that pre-work. What we've discovered along the way is, we can't really afford to do some of these, but there are parts that we can do. And thus following it as the plan. So the idea being that the streetscape plan would be the plan that future councils would be like, they'll go back and look at, there was a reason why we did that. There was a good reason we did it, and some things we weren't able to do because we just didn't have the funding. So.
Yeah, Birch Street is part of the main plan. It was kind of at the top of the queue for a while, then, discussions happened, but it definitely could use some help,
And Bert,
I think a center median behind the post down behind the post office, if you can back up out there, turn around and head.
It's really wide through there, and once you read through this, that we have traffic studies and things like that were done, it's really wide. It's too wide, and the way that it's striped is very confusing. And so the proposal is to narrow it down and make it an actual 2-lane road, is city road.
I mean, it's possible this is gonna be way more money than we got, for sure. But all of this conversation highlights, but we could do some fixes to Birch to help our city, and, I don't know.
I guess my point is to evaluate them individually, like the bank site. We're now committing to potentially 600,000 if we get lucky, and then we're gonna say yes to this. We have 2-point-something million,
2.3.
and we get roughly 600 every year. So we'll be depleting this. Is it the right? I agree, these are eyesores and they should be addressed, but, it just kind of helps us decide, how big we go if we know what we're giving up.
Yeah, I share that sentiment.
The thing about Birch Street is that, and I ask that you all do this and look up, is that it doesn't have the overhead lines like the other streets do. So First Street is just like riddled with utility poles down First Street. So our whole concept is to put them underground to beautify the city, right? Birch Street doesn't have necessarily that issue. It has a pole at the end that crosses the road, but it doesn't actually, like, it's not lined with poles. And so it actually makes for an easier project. And it may be something where you could still do a sidewalk project, a sidewalk improvement project. I mean, that's something to consider. That's why I presented that option one, is because, like, you could still do a sidewalk improvement project and have access off the alley if needed and still have a public parking lot. It might not be the best case, like, long-term solution, but it would be a short-term solution and it would still beautify the city and provide public parking.
There are still power lines going across Birch Street. It's just not as,
There's not the low utility lines.
it's just not as in-depth as
Correct.
what's going down Adams.
Yeah, there's major lines running up the west side of Birch Street.
And the majority of them are in front of the community building.
Right, yeah.
I'm not saying on our side, on the
on the-
side
on the
improvement
side. Yeah,
side.
yeah,
We don't
yeah,
have,
yeah.
we are not really running into that issue.
Yeah, that's the old deal.
Possible to produce more copies of those, because I think it's a fair, that she didn't have one.
Oh, of these?
Yes,
You would
of
like
those.
4 more copies of this report, that's fine.
Mine's laying around somewhere.
Aye. Yeah, and the reason why is,
Refresh.
The panel. I do have one question, Stephanie.
Right, we don't have many copies, we can
Just-
get one.
Well, you have a digital, you should have a digital one of these
We can
already.
get them electronically.
so
Digital, that's fine.
I mean, that was a tremendous amount of work. Again, a lot of community feedback involvement, a lot of
Studies, Birch, Central, and Adams being our major gateways into our city, and also our more
problematic ones because of the way the streets are and things, and so.
And those were the reasons those were targeted along the Central.
Well, and that was also before we had our budget issue and like
Yeah, we didn't know.
the
I
entire,
don't think that would have mattered. Again, I think the idea of the
Right at the time was,
we needed to have a plan.
without a plan, without a vision to go somewhere,
Somewhere, we can't make the right steps, we can't make good decisions, and so
budget or not, it didn't matter. Now, actually, it wasn't the budget that hurt us because
the URA
URA
is
separate.
separate. It's the
cost of doing,
construction. It's
Cost of construction is really,
so all of our work we did was not for
not. It was really important
work to cast.
cast vision into the future for our city. So
Stephanie, I do have a question. How in-depth, I'm just trying to, because this has bugged me, and I'm going to talk to Mark about it at the very end of the meeting. How, we're talking sidewalks, the sidewalk on Birch in front of, which would have been in front of the theater wall, that sidewalk on Birch, is that something that can be replaced and not totally have to be demolished if we do a bump out? And Mark, could your guys clean that up a little bit? We got Gay 90s coming up soon, and it's pretty shaggy.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much we can polish that.
Well, but getting the weeds taken care of would be a start, and maybe cleaning up the hole.
That's the main driver behind getting these helpers. We're getting
That's
basically
okay.
in May. That's exactly the type of thing that we're going to be working on. So, yeah, we can prioritize that. But even once you clean that sidewalk up, I mean, Forrest, you've seen it.
Well, it's deteriorated to the point that I'm asking, can it be replaced?
Yeah.
it has.
It doesn't.
No.
But I think that the sidewalk can be redone without realigning the street. I mean, I think if you wanted to.
If we don't do the bump out,
Pardon?
without the bump out.
Without the bump.
Yes.
Okay,
Like
Correct.
you could do that and then add that later. You know, you could keep in
Correct.
mind, okay, eventually, we want to put a bump out here, but you can certainly repave that and put new concrete down there. and do it.
Can that somehow be piggybacked into the concrete work that gets done at the Pocket Park, since the contractor would be here? Instead of having to, no?
Yeah, you could. I mean, there's not a lot of mob involved with concrete. I mean, you're getting hot mud, you just depending on how many yards you pull anyway, so it doesn't,
I
you're
could
not
whip
getting
up,
a lot of savings.
with a topographical survey, I could whip up a site plan for that, and you could just put it out to bid, I mean, just a small concrete project.
Just for the,
Yeah, I mean, you could almost, wouldn't have to go out, I don't know, if we.
I was just asking if it's something that, instead of having the concrete people here twice if that's something that they could do at the same time. That's all I was just
I
asking.
understand that, but in the scheme of things, I would almost take it from that new concrete break point and just replace that, put in your truncated dome ADA ramp at that corner of First and Birch, and then come down to where I would ignore the alley, but come down to where that break is at the corner of the retaining wall.
At the corner of the building?
Yep, and just do a sidewalk replacement project. And that,
And you could, so then all you're losing there is a new curb, right? If you want to bump out the sidewalk
Yeah.
later.
Mhm.
And yeah, like MOBA isn't big though for concrete. It's, yeah, I mean, you got to get fresh trucks in all the time anyway. It's got to be brought in fresh.
Well, I understand it, just if they could be done at the same time.
So, yeah.
That sidewalk it's a health hazard.
Yeah.
Someone is going to someone is gonna fall down.
Yeah, I think that's a good investment, doing that sidewalk section, and then looking at eliminating liability. I mean, if we're not gonna be able to do something, at some point, do we fill it and put grass there, just to, yeah.
Well, give it time, and there will be enough grass in the sidewalk.
I mean, I think we can spend better money right now putting that building, that pole barn behind the fire department, and possibly making sleeper quarters to give us more staff for that. I mean, I understand that we have a roadmap, but I think the game board changed. And, I mean, you can still keep moving towards it, but we're gonna build a possible building area, or we can, I mean, like you said, we only have such limited funds.
I'm not saying that we need to stop I just, I think it'd be beneficial for me to see kind of all the things that were kind of on the list, so that we can decide, are we going Cadillac or Ford, right? I'm not saying don't purchase, it needs to be solved, we need to do something, it's just,
We might be doing horse and buggy.
And if we get into these larger dollars, I don't know how big, but.
So all Stephanie's asking for is, she's gonna get
Yeah.
a fee quote for topographical.
Yes.
So she can't go anywhere further on this project that we've asked her to do for us. Correct. Till we get that.
and I can do just a rough, I could do a rough, like just with a tape, and figure out how much lineal feet of sidewalk, if you wanted me to like run a cost estimate on just a sidewalk replacement. It would still look like this, but the sidewalk would be new.
Right.
Okay.
But that sidewalk is
Yeah, it's terrible.
maybe the responsibility.
Well, in the report, it documents many others that are slated for replacement.
The one in front of the broiler is from the highway to the alley. That one in front of the broiler is pretty, but they had a tree in there that caused an issue though, too.
I look at this mock-up, right, and I'm like, yes, sign me up for that, right? Let's just get more of it. I just want to make sure we're getting the most,
So you need the whole.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm good with digital.
Okay, so I will make sure that you have a digital copy, and,
I want a book.
do you really?
My book is here somewhere.
And Forrest will look for your book, and if you can't find one, then I will make a copy and deliver it here.
Send me the bill for the printing paper.
You will get a bill. For printing paper.
Things cost these days?
Yeah, this is,
The ink, the employee time, and
it's all part of the reimbursable expense that's in the contract. Any other questions or things you want me to do?
Thank you.
So it sounds like I'll see you again next month.
Yes, please.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, last up is good to the order. Anything additional, anyone?
I'd like to see a little more on that pole barn behind the fire department, as far as, I know he had to leave, but maybe have Latimer give us a little bit more information on that and add it to our list of possible URA projects, because I feel like we can get a lot of benefit out of that, especially if we go to the next level and possibly add some sleeper quarters to be able to have some on-site staff. It will open us up to a lot more possibilities for growing our ambulance.
Okay, I like that. And also to Flynn's point as well, like, I think re-upping information so that we can understand what options are at like a quick glance would be super beneficial as well. Because I've felt the same way before, and it feels like a lot of the information in the past was also pretty vague to understand like the flow of what we could be committing to. So I think that would be, both those would be beneficial. Anything else? Okay.
Just confirming we're moving forward with getting quotes, or the process of saving that wall, the archway. So that, sorry. We didn't need a motion, or?
Talking about the brick wall.
Yeah.
Archway.
Okay.
We have a rough estimate, yeah.
Pretty rough, but yes.
Pretty rough.
Yeah. I think, I actually think I could put together like a narrative. Would you like me to come back up there?
Up to you.
Probably should, so I'm on the microphone.
I think I could put together a narrative for you that kind of explains a summary of work, and then we just go out and solicit quotes and just see. I mean, there's not that many masons in our area.
Yeah.
So it's...
I just wanted to make sure we weren't missing a formality if we needed a vote.
No, you don't, you know, typically, formally, you don't have to tell us to go out for bids. You all kind of, where it gets formal is approving bids, accepting bids, right? So you're fine. I think Stephanie gets it.
Yeah, we'll do it. We're on it. Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
I just didn't want us to.
Can I adjourn yet? It's been a while, guys.
Do it. The URA has gone longer than
My URA meetings were way shorter.
My bladder needs us to. 9:28, we're done.
All right, 9:28, we closed. Thank you.